adjustments that will take you guys and put you over the top. Everything that you're going to need was listed at the beginning of this video. You're going to need some number molds, your choice. You may use a silicone mold because it works the best. And I have edible dollars. I have my Cakecicle sticks out. I'm going to be using Wilton's Bright White melting chocolate. I have chosen chocolate cake as the flavor for my Cakecicles, but use whatever you guys feel comfortable with. And the prep work for this is I made my numbers ahead of time out of yellow fondant, and my gun was made out of black and yellow fondant. The yellow was for anything that I knew I was going to paint gold. So adjust yours as properly as you feel. Here we have edible crystals. We're going to use those for geodes on the sides of our dollar bills. I purchased my dollar bills online. It was actually Amazon. I'm almost sure it was Amazon. Here I have melted down my chocolate. I put it in a regular baggie, and I'm just going to begin to fill my middle Cakecicle mold. To me, I always start from the middle and work my way out. I create a border, and I go ahead and tap it some to make sure it's even. I come back in with a popsicle stick. I try to make sure all the sides are covered. I go and I add a second coat of chocolate because you don't want it thin. If it's thin, when you go to pull out your Cakecicles, they are going to break and you will be very, very upset with yourself. This is a lot of work. Let's do it right the first time. You see me kind of smoothing and adding in different places. Like I said, that I have multiple Cakecicle sticks. I just found like it gets down in the crevices a little more. You see me coming back in with my Wilton's melted chocolate. The thing is, you don't want it as runny as you would drizzle. You want it a little bit thicker. I drizzle with a pretty thin ratio, and I'm not sure if you guys can really tell, but this is a thicker coat of chocolate. That helps it stay up on the sides, creating the barrier that we need so we can come back and fill it with our cake and buttercream mixture to create the Cakecicle itself. You do want to keep your edges clean. Keep that in mind. Here I am about to break up my chocolate cake. I'm putting in my buttercream. A small amount will do. If you overdo it, your cake is going to be wet. It's going to be weird. Nobody wants that. So just break it up pretty good. And I say start with a smaller amount of buttercream, and then if it's too dry, you can add more. Here you have seen the Cakecicles were sitting in the refrigerator for about 15 minutes. I let it sit up. I did a second coat off camera just to be sure that it would hold up. And I'm putting in small portions of cake at a time. You do not want to fill your mold all the way up to the top, as it will not hold as much of the Wilton's chocolate on the back, which also creates a problem getting them out of the mold. So this is a creation that does kind of take a little bit of time, and I've seen many people do where they only do a half Cakecicle, like half chocolate, half Cakecicle. I don't want to do that. I want the full Cakecicle, so I'm just putting in less cake, and then I'm going to fill in the backs. You see me slowly adding and trying to make sure everything is even. I'm going through and making sure it is pushed all the way into the mold. Like I said, the Cakecicles were in the refrigerator 15 minutes on a double coat. That is more than enough time. So once they come out, you can put your cake. I didn't put my cake in the refrigerator or anything, so it was just room temperature with the buttercream in it. And you see I stuffed my Cakecicles, but I did leave a little bit toward the top. And now I'm coming back with my candy melt, and I'm slowly piping a border around the Cakecicles, the back. I start down where the stem of the cake sickle would be, the part that is going to bear the weight. You want to start down there, but you want to make sure that your cake sickle is even. So from time to time, you do need to tap it to make sure everything's evening out. I will suggest if you do put your cake in the refrigerator and your cake is cold as well as your molds, you would want to keep it very even because as the cake cools down the melting chocolate, you're going to have to cut it off or it will leave your things lumpy, and that's not a good look. We're trying to create a very nice project, so we would want it to be as flat as possible, the professional look of it. And you can go back and add as much chocolate as you want, long as you're not going over the mold itself. I don't know if you guys are able to tell, but there is still a little bit of space in the crevices, and that's where I'm going back and adding the extra chocolate. I'm taking my time and kind of looking at pockets, and I'm trying to fill them in so that they'll all be even. I'm now taking a little spatula and I'm smoothing things out so it won't be bumpy and lumpy, and I don't want to try to cut the back off and accidentally dig into the cake sickle itself. So these are the reasonings that cake sickles lay flat most of the time. So you would want your back flat, even though most people may think, oh, nobody's going to see it. It just makes for a better product if it is even just all the way. Now, between your cake sickles, you can see that I still have some chocolate hanging out of mine. You'll see how I handle that once they come out the refrigerator. I did put them in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. If you go to take a cake sickle out and it is not seeming like it is formed correctly or it's feeling a little soft to you, don't even try to demold it. Put it back in for another 10 minutes. That way you're not going to break all your hard work off and have to start again. Okay, this is what they look like before they go into the refrigerator for the 30 minutes. Now that they've been in the refrigerator 30 minutes, I am demolding, and you can see some of the lumps on the back of mine. And I'm not saying that they have to be perfect. What I'm saying is the amount of work you want to put in them is just to make them look even. So I have a warm knife, and I'm cutting off the excess edges. I'm slowly and very lightly cutting off what people can see to clean up the edges. Or I could have cleaned up the edges around the mold a little bit more, but as you see, it works either way. That's still a very good cake sickle. And demolding cake sickle number 2. Sometimes you have a problem getting them out the mold. Just take your time, wiggle it out a little bit. No rush. You putting your work into this. You're putting your all, so take your time with it. Be careful. Here I am trying to clean up the top, which was giving me kind of quite the problem. And I think this is the one I decided I was going to go ahead and use as a drizzle because I wasn't getting it how I wanted it. So kind of keep in mind that just because a cake sickle may not look like you think it should or you want it to, there may be an ulterior thing that you could do to dress it up, make it nice. As an artist, this is your time to be creative. And as we demold cake sickle number 3, which had the least amount of excess on it, all you got to do is a quick run by. And at this time, my knife wasn't even warm anymore. It was cold, but I was able to um, still get the excess off the chocolate. And now you're just going to grab a piece of wax paper because I am going to drizzle one of these cake sickles. I just grabbed my wax paper, lifted up my cake sickles. Now I am ready to drizzle, and I drizzle at an angle, you guys. I don't know. I just think it looks cute. I don't know why. I do. I have melted more chocolate, and this is drizzle consistency. As you see me shake the bag, it's pretty runny. Not too runny, but if you dip berries you know. If not, maybe we'll work on a video on the YouTube channel. And as I get ready, I decide to drizzle just one and not all three. I'm going back and forth a little bit over the cake sickle itself, real thin lines. When I cut my bag, I cut it really, really thin so I could only get a small amount of drip at a time. And that makes the nice thin pencil lines. I have already made my yellow 18 and painted it, and I am going to stagger these. I mean, of course, you can put any number on these cake sickles as long as they fit. And while the chocolate is still cold, you want to go ahead and press your embellishments in kind of quickly. I'm adding a dollar sign, a game controller, the number 18, and the chocolate itself will hold these embellishments. But if, say, your chocolate forms on you, all you got to do is add a little bit of chocolate to the back of your embellishments and carefully put them on. Here we are ready for the Ben Franklin dollar, and that is going to be the base for one of these Cakecicles. So I'm going to apply all over the Cakecicle my melted chocolate, and I decide, hey, yes, I like the 100, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and put Ben on here. I am lightly pressing the chocolate down to adhere Ben, and I'm going to change my mind, as women are prone to do. I can do this. And I decided to take the part that says 100 and just add it at the bottom of Ben. Big Ben does not mind that I am chopping up this edible dollar. It's going to turn out really, really nice for what I wanted. I mean, you can't fit a whole dollar on here, and I did not want to use my itty bitty dollars. 18 is a big birthday for us, so we want to do it big. And you could just resize, cut any excess off that you do not need. And I'm just using the chocolate. The chocolate is like paste. We all went to elementary school. Let's go ahead and paste that down. I'm going to paste my edges, and that chocolate is going to be used for my geodes as well. So here I begin to quickly adhere the geodes because again, you do not want your chocolate to go ahead and set up on you because you don't want to add a large amount of chocolate and then it just looks wanky or just be over the place. And I'm just going to continue like going from right to left, adding small dots of chocolate, just a little bit bigger than the geodes, which you guys can't see, but you guys will see in the finished product. So geodes, there is no actual form. When you break them up, what you get is what you get. I would say do not disregard the fine ones, the smaller ones, because they do come in handy to fill in some of the extra spacing. And that's what I'm doing. I'm putting in my big ones first, and then I come back through with some smaller ones to make it kind of look like an actual geode. And then to reinforce them, I am going around the edges where the geodes are, and I'm just adding a small amount of chocolate there too to keep them on because you don't want to do all this work and they just fall right off, especially if you're creating this for someone that has to move it from where it was put together at. So, time to do the bottom. I'm trying to make sure that all my geodes are beginning to stick and stay because number one, we don't want them to fall off, but more importantly, number two, I am going to lightly paint around some of these geodes. And you see, I'm not really using a lot of them, so it's going to be kind of highlighted. I think that would be the best way to describe it. And on the bottom right hand side, I am now adding the geodes. I'm going to add the big ones in first. And then we are going to add in the small ones. The small ones, sometimes they create anxiety. Just take your time. If you feel like you could do this better with tweezers, I would suggest so. But when I do my geode berries, I don't use tweezers. I actually use myself, my hands, my fingernails. I seen that a part of my $100 bill was sticking up, so I knew I needed to add something to reinforce it to make it not look tacky. So I added a smidget more chocolate and a few more geodes to hold it down. And look, see, nobody will ever be able to know it. Just me and you. So I'm looking at my geodes, I'm tapping them a little bit. I got a little bit of chocolate on the actual dollar bill. I was able to just wipe that off real quickly and wipe it on another cake sickle because I know it's going to be covered on the third one. And I'm just cleaning up the geodes and making sure everything is reinforced down good. Now we're moving on to my last embellishment. My son plays a lot of Xbox, so there is a gun and he is of age. So this was something I wanted to do for him. Like I said, the bottom of the gun itself is black, the top was yellow, and I was able to paint that gold and it looks really Pharaoh's gold color, really, really gold. And we are finished. So let's look at our product. We got the dollar sign. We're not finished. I'm sorry, guys. But these are going to go in the refrigerator for about 10 minutes. And while they were in there, I began to mix my paint again. I do mix my paint with Everclear. This is edible gold. This is not Pharaoh's gold. This is gold, and I can't remember. If I do remember, I will list it. But it is two different golds put together, and I have a really, really thin paintbrush, and I'm lightly touching the geodes. I'm not like saturating the geodes at all. You see, I've only dipped once, and I'm lightly going around the geodes, and I'm trying to make sure I'm staying off of the dollar bill. You know, edible dollar bills are wafer paper, so you can't like always wipe them off. But we are getting the geode look, kind of to make it look a little bit older. And now we're finished. So this is how everything turned out. I really appreciate you guys. So if there are any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and keep an eye out for more tutorials. Thank you.